Love lives here.
So, here at Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide, this year we are working with the theme of Living Everyday Wonder. Every week that I'm here, I point to the side of the room over there because that's where we have the banner that says Living Everyday Wonder. In case those of you wondering at home, why do I do that? That's why we have a banner here in the sanctuary that says Living Everyday Wonder, which is our theme for this year. And each month of the year, we have been taking the opportunity to explore a different aspect of our lives through the idea of living everyday wonder. And so last month we explored nature. This month we are exploring work. So it is that realm of our lives where we work. And some of you go, well, I'm already retired. I don't work anymore. And I talk to my friends that are retired, and I'm like, I'm busier now than when I used to work. And I see a lot of nodding heads in the room as well. So it's an interesting phenomenon. But work doesn't just mean what your job, your 9 to 5, or whatever hours, your shift or whatever. That's not just what work means. Work could mean your school, work could mean your passions, work could mean how you volunteer in the world, what you are called to do. So work, in this way that we're looking at it, is more of a vocation. And then that's a loaded word too, isn't it, my beloveds? Vocation comes from the word vocare, the Latin vocare, which means voice, or more deeply, vocare means call, to call. And then you're like, wait a minute. Now we're talking about my calling? Now we're talking about the purpose of my life? I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my calling is. I hear this frequently too. I don't know. And remember, I've shared with you before, you do know your purpose. Remember what it is? To be the power and the presence of love on earth. That's it. Simple. Done. To be the power and the presence of love on earth. That is the purpose. That is our divine purpose in life. That is our whole reason for existence, is to be the power and the presence of love on earth. All right, so we've answered that question, right? But then the vision or the individualization is then, okay, so if I'm to be the power and the presence of love on earth, then how does that want to express? And we have a tendency to go to these ideas of like, I should do this, I ought to do that, I should value this, I should value that, I should put other people ahead of my needs, I should put this belief ahead of what I'm feeling, I should put these ideas or this work ahead of what I'm really wanting to do, what I'm really feeling passionate about. We can sometimes get caught in our shoulds and our ought tos. So how do we then create a life that matters? And what we talk about with creating a life that matters is there is this deep need within each of us, I think, of having a life and creating a life and living a life that feels purposeful, that feels like there's meaning to our life, that we are somehow contributing to the larger society, that we are somehow advancing consciousness, or we are advancing our society in some way. And so when we're looking at creating a life that matters, that what that really means more, the way we're looking at it, is that it's a wanting to express, wanting to give meaning, wanting to feel that my life has value, that my life, that I've contributed somehow to the larger society. And the very fact that you're breathing means that your life has value. Because who you are is spirit made manifest. You are the one life, the one power, the one presence made manifest. You are love made manifest here on earth. So there is not a need, or there is not an inherent requirement to earn love, to earn value, to earn respect. There's not an inherent That's not what spiritually we know to be true, because you already are it. You can't get more of it. You can't become it anymore because you already are it. Yet our experience and how we show up in this individualized form on this planet, in this realm of time and space, we begin to think about, oh, but I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. I want to feel like I've contributed. I want to leave something behind. I want to leave a legacy behind. And so that's what it looks like when we are talking about creating a life that has meaning, a life that matters. Notice, though, that what we're talking about is we're talking about creating a life, living a life. We're not talking about making a life. And when you look at Western society, it's a really funny thing that we use that word making. Make a living, make time, make space. It comes from a very mechanical, industrial way of looking at that the world is a machine, and that we must make the machine, we must make the industrial thing, we must make, right? But if we look at agricultural societies, agricultural cultures, then what we see is that the language changes. It's create a life. It is grow a life. It is expand time. It is create space. There is this idea that is much more in alignment and in attunement with what it is that we believe, that we have the creative power to create something new, to create a new life, to create a new way of being, to create a new way of expressing in the world. We're not trying to make it happen. We are allowing it to happen. We are creating it. We are expressing it. We are growing it. Isn't that a much more interesting way of looking at life? Yes. Isn't it more freeing to ooh, I get to create, or I get to play, or we get to grow, we get to nurture, rather than I have to make it. Right? There's a Quaker saying that says, let your life speak. Let your life speak. And Parker Palmer wrote this wonderful little book. It's little, but don't be fooled by its size. He wrote this wonderful little book called Let Your Life Speak. And in this book, he talks about letting your life speak and what he thought that, and he was like, okay, let my life speak. So in his initial thoughts around that phrase of let your life speak, he's thought, okay, so I decide what my values are, I decide what my beliefs are, I decide what my goals are, and then I try to live into those. And that was his first thought about letting his life speak. All right, let me look around. Okay, this looks good. Let's go here, let's do this. But as he worked with this phrase and as he continued to evolve in his consciousness and his understanding of this phrase, what he realized and what he came to define this as is this: before you tell your life what you intend to do with it, listen for what it intends to do with you. And he then goes on to say, before you tell your life what truths and values you have decided to live up to, let your life tell you what truths you embody and what values you represent. So it is what he's saying here in creating this life that matters and creating this authentic life and creating a life that is fulfilling and joy-filled. He invites us to, rather than tell life what I intend to do with it, I listen to life and hear what it intends to live through and as me. Rather than telling life, these are the truths that I want, or these are the truths that I know, these are the values I hold, he invites us to allow life to share with us and to illumine us as to what truths are true for us and what truths we embody and what values we present. Allow your life, before you tell your life what you intend to do with it, allow your life to tell you what it intends to do with you. He goes on to talk about the way, not the way of life or the way of making things happen, not the creative process, but he goes on to talk about the way, and the way is guidance, spiritual guidance. Here at Centers for Spiritual Living, one of the ways that we have to tune into the spiritual guidance is we have the practice of visioning, where we sit in silence and we pose questions to Spirit and open to Spirit's highest idea of our life. We open to Spirit's highest idea of what it is wanting to express through and as us. This is one of the pathways that we have, one of the tools that we use. And we also invite the questions of what must I release, what must I embrace, what must I become for guidance. But there are multiple ways of opening to guidance, and reading is one of them. And so as I was reading this book, he was talking about the way, and he was talking about, in Quaker tradition, they say, way will open, meaning the path will unfold before you. Spirit will reveal the path. And he was like, I've been waiting for way to open. I've been waiting for way to open. I've been waiting for way to open. I've been praying. I've been meditating. I've been doing everything I know how to do. And way is not opening. I'm not getting any more clear. I'm not getting any more clarity. Way is not opening. And one of the elders says, but way has been closing, hasn't it? He's like, yeah. And so you're guided too by what the way closes just as much as what the way opens if we pay attention to it. So rather than turning around and seeing the door close, or rather than standing there with a closed door in front of us, the way closed, a closed door in front of us, what Spirit is doing when it closes the door is it's an invitation then to turn around and see a whole new vista, a whole new possibility. It's inviting us into the possibilities, into the potentialities of what is or what's now available when this particular way has closed. And the way's closed for us, hasn't it? Collectively as a society. We just experienced the pandemic. I mean, and not that it's not still going on. We're moving into the endemic phases of it now. But for an entire year, once again, just like 9/11, there was a worldwide shift. There was a worldwide call. There was a worldwide closing of what was, and an invitation to turn and open to the possibilities that lie ahead. When we talk about, I can't wait for things to get back to the way they were, honey, they're never going to go back to the way they were. They never have. They don't go back to the way they were. We still move forward. I've shared with you, our feet point forward for a reason, because that's the direction we're headed in. So we have the opportunity here, and we've had the opportunity, and I think a lot of us have had this opportunity, and we're continuing to have this opportunity based on the conversations, especially that I've been having this week with lots of folks, is that we've had an opportunity to really begin to take stock of, to look at what it is that we do value. If we've been paying attention and we choose to listen, if we choose to open and hear, we can see that way has closed behind us, and so we have the opportunity to turn and face what is in front of us or what is available in front of us, and we have the opportunity to pause and listen and let life speak. Collectively, there was a pause to listen, to let life speak at 9/11, 2001. Now there is another pause to listen and let our lives speak. And I feel, as I've been talking with folks, whether it's work or what have you, there is this strong desire of like, some of that stuff really wasn't working for me. My priorities are like, I want to spend time doing something I love. I want to spend my time with people I love. I want to spend my time, I want to enjoy the time I have. I want to enjoy the life I have in greater ways. And we've seen that with the Great Resignation, right? People quitting their jobs, finding something new, expressing and learning and growing into something new because what was no longer serving. And so there's been this collective call for release of what has been so that we may open up to a greater yet to be, but we just don't know yet what that is. And that's the opportunity for us to continue stepping forward and finding clarity and looking outward, or looking up and looking forward as we turn within and look within and experience the life force, that divine intelligence, that infinite eternal wisdom that is internal to express itself, to share itself, to show itself one moment at a time. So how many of you have kind of been experiencing this? Like, oh, what do I do next? I don't know. We don't have to know what to do next. And the question, as Howard Thurman phrases it, the question is, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And then go and do that, because what the world needs is more people to be alive. It needs people who have come alive. And then Frederick Buckner says your vocation, your calling, your expression of the purpose of your life, your vocation is the place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. And what he does here is he places deep gladness first in front of the world's need. And what we know is the world needs more people who are awake, according to Howard Thurman, right? Awake and alive. Okay. So how do we feel awake? How do we feel alive? And here, Frederick Buckner gives us a little clue, or gives us a little insight, that it's our deep gladness. So, this week, beloveds, I invite you to make a date with joy. Make a date with joy. If you have a joy in your life, I guess you can make a date with them too. But make a date with joy. And what I mean by make a date with joy is, here we have this guidance here that, this guidance that's come for moving forward. We have this guidance here that says, turn to the joy, look for the joys. What brings you joy? Or not even necessarily brings you joy. What do you enjoy doing? What do you enjoy experiencing? Who do you enjoy spending your time with? What do you enjoy? Or at least find pleasant, if you can't get to joy. Right? And then, once you have made a list, start with a minimum of a list of 10. It shouldn't be that hard, right? I enjoy reading. I enjoy a long hot shower. I enjoy baking cookies. It doesn't have to be like big, right? I enjoy working with this group of people, and that could be it too. But and then just whatever it is, make a list of your joys, or what you enjoy, what you find pleasant, what you find enjoyable, and make that list, and then schedule it. Put it on your calendar. Grow the joy by putting it on the calendar, and then keep a date with yourself for your joy date. So maybe it's reading a novel. All right, so tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read for an hour and get lost in some fabulous story. And then in a couple days, I'm going to bake cookies because I enjoy the smell of cookies and I enjoy eating them and I enjoy sharing them. Whatever it is, but make a date with joy. Because when we make a date with joy, when we begin to experience the little joys, we begin to experience those little pleasantries, those little pleasantness pieces, then we are experiencing joy, we are experiencing life, we are experiencing love in a present moment. When we're in joy, we're in the present. And then we have the opportunity then to really be in the presence of Spirit. And when we are in the presence of Spirit and joy, we open up to even greater guidance. We open up to even greater possibilities. And as we are experiencing our joy, as we're coming alive with our joy, this is what Howard Thurman says that the world needs, is us to be alive. When we are alive, then we can show up for one another. We can show up in service. We can show up to support one another, to help one another grow, to make a larger contribution. But what we're doing is we're doing it from a place of love. We're doing it from a place of joy. We're doing it from a place of overflow. And it is an opportunity then to see what it is that brings us joy, and then how do we bring that joy to this place of service. And then you're making your mark on the world. You're creating a life that matters. You're creating a life that has meaning. You're creating a life of contribution. But it starts, and rightfully so, internally, because we can't give that which we don't have to give. We can't give from an empty pitcher. If we are not filling ourselves up, if we are not filled up with something that brings us joy, we can't continue to give. We can't continue to serve. We'll deplete ourselves. But when we give from that place where there's that renewable energy, where it's like the roots of a tree that continuously produces fruit year after year, season after season, the fruit, yes, falls, the fruit comes away, we get to eat it, we enjoy it, right? But we know that there's going to be more fruit because the tree keeps producing fruit, because the tree is giving of itself, it's giving something, it's giving its renewable sources because it's constantly being renewed. But if we don't constantly renew ourselves with joy, with that life-affirming activities in our life, then our branches wither. Our branches die. We cease to produce fruit. And then maybe all we're good is for firewood. Right? Annie Dillard says, she's an author as well, she says, how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. How we spend our days is how we spend our lives. So this week, I invite you to let your life speak. Listen to what your life has to say, and then make a date with joy. And so it is. So I invite our practitioners to please stand and surround the sanctuary. And I invite our core council members to join them. These beloveds are in prayer for this beloved community every single day, and they are available to you for prayer. You can contact them through our website, or you can go and see them after service. As Allison mentioned, Dinah and Allison will be in the prayer room after service if you'd like prayer after service. All right, so let us come together in consciousness once more. Oh, how good it is to be in this time, in this space, in this place with these beloveds, recognizing that each one gathered here this day is a divine expression, emanation, and impartation of the one life, the one love, the one power, the one presence, the one all in all, eternal, infinite Spirit itself, that is love itself, forever expressing, forever expanding. And it is love that brought forth love. It is love that continues to create. It is love that moves forth into existence always and in all ways. And so I recognize for each one of us gathered here this day that each one of us is this love. And so we move love into existence. We bring it forth into existence in greater expressions by tapping into the joy that is already residing within each one of us, tapping into that internal, infinite wisdom that is within each one of us. So we open and we listen and we hear and we allow life to speak, and we open and we receive the guidance of Spirit through the still small voice that whispers, that expresses, that calls us forth with a voice so powerful. Though it is maybe soft, it is still a powerful voice that calls us forth into an individualized expression of life and of love itself. And so I know that each one of us is divinely guided and divinely guarded and divinely maintained and sustained in our fulfillment of this call upon our lives, of this sweet whisper that is providing us the inspiration of the next thing, of the next idea, of the next way of being. And not only is it inspiring us, but it is also making the crooked places straight. It is providing the way. It is making the way, the path clear in front of us if we but open our eyes and see and allow and listen softly, patiently. And so as we do this, we take in a nice deep breath and we release joy out into the world. We release love out into the world. And it is this joy that we make a date with, a daily date. I enjoy this. I enjoy my chocolate chip cookie. I enjoy this book that I'm reading. I enjoy the rain that is falling and bathing me. We find our joy, we see our joy, we recognize our joy everywhere present, and we make a date with it. And in so doing, we expand this joy, we expand this love, and we make ourselves more available to being in service to the greater fulfillment of the call upon our lives. Knowing that it is not I, the individual, that does the work, but it is the Spirit within each one of us that does the work itself. So I know that it unfolds under grace and in absolute perfect ways, with ease and delight of light, of joy. And so I simply give thanks for this recognition here and now. I give thanks for the joy that is already present in each life. I give thanks for the love that continues to express through each life. And I release this word now, knowing it is done, knowing that it is fulfilled, knowing that it continues to express itself in beautiful, magnificent, glorious ways. I say yes to it. I say yes to life. I say yes to love. I say yes to joy. And I let it be, and so it is.
Love